And as we prepare for the time that we will have our 2-minute silence in about 10 minutes' time, let's just remind ourselves that we meet together today, not only for our normal, shall we say, Sunday, but the fact that as a nation we will be remembering today those who gave their life in war for the peace and the freedom of our country. And it is good that we remember, and we often say, don't we, on this day, lest we forget. And this text from John's Gospel is often used. There's no greater love than this, that a man should lay down his life for his friends. A text that, strictly speaking, is talking about what Jesus was going to do for them. But we sort of seconded it to recognise the sacrifice that so many people have made through the centuries in an effort to get peace, in an effort that we might have the freedom that we have today. And we choose this date in our country, the 11th day of the 11th month, because that was when the First World War ended. And of course, after that, people said, this is the war to end all wars. And there was that firm belief. So it became very significant, the price that people had paid, that this might be the war that ends all wars. We've only got to look round our world today to know that did not happen. It has not ended all wars. In fact, I read this week that there hasn't been one day in over 200 years without some kind of war happening on Earth. Not one day in 200 years, at least 200 years. Political wars, territorial wars, regional wars, global wars. We've had a 7-day war. We've had a 1,000-day war. We've had some wars that cost a handful of lives. We've had other wars that have taken tens of millions of lives. Sad, isn't it? Overall, it appears that it's the very nature of humankind to wage war. And 1918, I'm told, I never knew this, I've learned something this week, 1918 marked not only the end of World War I, but the end of at least 3 other wars that had been raging at the same time as World War I. Not linked with it, quite separate. I never knew that. If you want to know what they were the Southern China Revolt, the Second Sino-Tibetan War, and the Finnish Civil War. Never heard of them, to be honest. Okay. And then our war ended in 1918. But in 1919, 3 new wars emerged. The Anglo-Afghan War, the Hungarian-Romanian War, and the Spartacist Rising in Germany. Wars that few of us knew had ever existed. And in 1920, only 2 years after we said we've had the war to end all wars, there were, let me get it right, 10 concurrent wars raging somewhere in the world. War doesn't seem to be the answer, does it, really, to the problems of mankind. So this morning we do remember and we do say thank you to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Because at least in our country, to a certain degree, we have liberty, we have freedom of speech, freedom from tyranny, freedom from oppression. And we will salute them this morning and we will remember their ultimate sacrifice. And the cost that many others paid in terms of injury, and some of them had a lifelong living death. Does that make sense afterwards? Yeah. But I want it also to be a reminder for us as Christians that our world is deeply broken and divided because of human violence. So for the Christian, Remembrance Day also presents for us a unique opportunity to remember the man, Jesus, who did lay down his life for his friends. And he took a completely different route. He took the route of non-violence. Not that violence was not involved. People were violent to him. Look at what led up to his death, torture. And then that horrible death on the cross, the crucifixion, the nails, the slow, lingering hanging there. But in Jesus we see the perfect example of humble obedience, sacrificial love, and life-giving peace. Because he did all that so that we might have peace, not as the world knows peace, says the Bible, but the peace that only Jesus can bring. He did perform the one act that never needs to be performed again. He died on Calvary once and for all, that we might know wholeness of life and real peace. So we remember those who died on the battlefield, and we remember him who died on the cross. And to both this morning we say, thank you. Thank you. There's no greater love than this, that a man should lay down his life for his friends. There's a reading coming up. Would you like to join me with this as we prepare our hearts and minds? We remember with thanksgiving and sorrow those whose lives in world wars and conflicts past and present have been given and taken away. We pray for all who in bereavement, disability and pain continue to suffer the consequences of fighting and terror. O God of truth and justice, we hold before you those whose memory we cherish and those whose names we will never know. Help us to lift our eyes above the torment of this broken world and grant us thy grace to pray for those who wish us harm. Amen. Help us to lift our eyes above the torment of this broken world. I read this week the symbol of the poppy, and there's many different definitions, that the red represents the blood that was spilt on the battlefields. The black centre is the black of mourning, but the green leaf represents, how can I put it, the regrowth in the fields where all this bloodshed was. Eventually the poppies grow again and the green grass grows again. And I've never sort of read that sort of being applied to the green leaf, but I rather liked it, that yes, we haven't found the answer as human beings amongst in our own strength to move on from war to a better way. But God has given us hope, and he has given us a way. And there is a way of renewal and refreshment for the future through God. May he help us in our small corner, in our small part of the world, to be that influence, to be that person who says, I know another way. I know another way. If you're able, would you stand as we share our 2 minutes together? I don't know whether you watched the programme on television last night, did you? really, always for me, the remembrance time there and how they do it in the Albert Hall is very moving. I find it very moving. We do it far more simply. We have no option. We haven't got all the battalions there, you might say, and all the drums for the drumhead service. But we do it in sincerity, and we present it before God as our recognition of what these people have done and what he has done this morning. David will help us with the last post in just a minute. So they shall not grow old, as we that are left behind grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow we gave our today. Amen. Let's